And he points out that me and my wife, we are representative of both because we've descended from both species. And that's where he also grants their sons the ability to choose whether they want to be elves or men.
Mm-hmm.
That's a gift from Manwë to just like his family in particular. And that's pretty important because he is also, I think, the grandfather, if I'm not mistaken, for Elrond.
Yes.
And sorry, of Arvid, because I think his son was also Elrond.
Yeah, this is part of a very long-term thing that is the merging of them all back into the fold. So each time that there's an elf and a human who end up marrying and having a child, there's even an aspect from
Yeah,
Aya in there. It's the reconvergence of all of them together again. Yeah.
true. Because we know that, and his other son would descend and become the first king of Numenor. It's just pretty interesting that,
Yeah.
because Aragorn also is a descendant of Elendil, and Elendil also has the like the heritage of the kings of Numenor.
Yeah. And Aragorn is
So
technically related to Arwen.
Arwen.
Yeah, if you think about,
I was
yeah,
getting to
it's like,
that. I was
it's
getting to
just a few
that.
centuries, but yeah, it's there. Yeah,
Uh, okay, I wouldn't say a few centuries. It's like 6,000 years or something.
yeah, give or
At
take.
least from the men's side.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he does, go and, makes a very successful plea. And they do two things. So I think Elwing, what happens to her is, you know, she became like, the moon, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh,
One second.
yeah, something like that. God,
And
I don't remember that one. Yeah.
yeah, I know Erendil is given one of the Silmarils,
Hmm.
and his ship sails across the sky because it's now high that neither Melkor and his forces nor the sons of Feanor can reach him.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately the price for getting the Valar's support was they too would never return to their family in Middle Earth.
Hmm. Well,
She, I mean, that is just go, but they would be like, they get to, once their lives pass, they did reunite at the House of Mando, so they at least they have their happily ever after.
hmm.
But anyways, that's not the point. But the plea was so successful that, Manwë is like, yep, guys, we're marching to war now. And that begins the War of Wrath.
Which is incomprehensible. Yeah.
There's not no conflict in the history of Tolkien's lore on Arda that matches. It is supposed to, like, if you take the strength, it's supposed to say hundreds of thousands of elves, dwarves, and Edain, the host of great eagles, all the Valar. So you're going to have like Manwë, Mandos, Vadra, Aule, Dulkas, Orome. All of these guys have come. And even though Morgoth himself has mustered a very mighty host, it's even larger than the one that was the that broke through the siege of Angband in the Draco Balak. But
I was.
interesting, and one of the things that you definitely have to know is this is like where the greatest eagle is found.
I
Sorry,
was
the
just gonna
dragons,
put
right?
up a. I was gonna put up a picture of it. There is one
Yeah,
painting.
yeah. I was also looking for it myself.
Oh,
That's it. Because even here you'll have Glaurung also fighting and no doubt dying. But it is actually in this battle that we see the greatest of the dragons come forth. Because to
mhm.
Tolkien's, most of his dragons are actually not even. It's a mix between what we kind of think as the winged dragons and, like, the more Eastern oriented, or like, dragons from like the Chinese mythology, which kind of like, move on the ground.
Yeah.
And Glarong is also not fully armored, but Actalagos is here, and he is slain through a mighty effort. But this was such a significant event that half of Middle Earth, like all the land that was west of the Blue Mountains, was like destroyed and sunk.
Because of him falling down on it too. It's the size of the dragon.
Yeah.
It breaks the mountains and takes away the two realms of the dwarfs there, and they have to run to Khazad-dûm as a result.
Uh, let's put it like this: Smog is huge when we see him in the Hobbit movies,
Oh yeah, he's a tiny one compared to
but
these. Yeah.
Smog, yeah, but Smog is tiny compared to all these great dragons of Melkor and Morgoth.
Yeah. Yes.
Smog's like a ant compared to an elephant.
Yeah.
And I think what I find more interesting in the aftermath of the War of Wrath, because I think it was pretty obvious that it's a victory for them, given Morgoth has steadily weakened and they have still stayed in the light. So these are like, supercharged elves and Valar and Maya coming through. Sauron goes into hiding and everything. So, the remaining elves were bidden by Eowyn to return to the lands of Aman or Valinor. And most of the elves go, you know, but some did stay in the east, right? Like, if you remember your chart, these were like part of the Teleri that kind of would not be, you know, go back to the west. Now, it is actually here where Maedhros and Malgor, the two last sons of Fëanor, want to steal the last two Silmarils. They know that one Silmaril is in the sky.
Mhm.
They don't know it's Erendil and his ship, but they know the glow of a Silmaril from any other
Yes.
jewelry
Yeah.
case. So they know that they cannot get that. And they lit because they made us oath, which the sword in the name of Iluvatar himself. It's not, even though Manway said that your oath is done. You to have nothing. Just don't do anything stupid. They decide that they'll try to steal the Silmarils, and literally in the victory camp they steal, like kill several other elves to take the Silmarils.
Exactly. Of course.
Like they and the sad thing is Maglor was actually willing to kind of like maybe give up the oath,
Yeah, he's the only one that he's kind of the only sympathetic one in the bunch, right?
and he's accepted it. He's like, I think he genuinely would believe that their oath is no longer valid, so they don't have anything to fear of, like the oath breaking. Because if you see, like in the ancient times, taking an oath was immense.
Yes.
It's usually like, if you read like the Roman history, like the mutinies, like Scipio's handling the mutiny of Sucro when
Mm.
he makes them take an oath of allegiance again. It's, to us maybe today it's not as much of a big thing, but to them it's massive. But yeah, Maedhros and Bangalore, they take the Silmarils and they they go in and kill people. And even though they were permitted to leave, you know, because of the wicked deeds of the Kingslings, they could not hide from the pain. And Maedhros cast himself into a kind of fiery pit, which was like in the aftermath of, what do you call it? Like, the devastation that was caused during the War of Wrath. So
Yeah.
he just falls to his doom and, like,
The
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 lava
destruction of
under the earth.
Beleriand. Yeah, it's falling into the
Yeah.
ocean now.
Whereas Maglor does cast it into the sea.
Mhm.
And I guess maybe Mando saw a bit of sympathy for him, because he doesn't have like a horrible death, but he kind of just wanders the shores for the end of time. He's not fully forgiven, but it says, he sings and laments the loss of the Silmarils. That's one theory, or another says, yeah, he just died.
And on terms, just to finish up, on terms of the forgiveness, Galadriel only feels that she's forgiven at the end of the Third Age, and like her ancestry, it's like it's been a long time waiting, but she'll eventually go back to the Undying Lands. It's that
I think they
curse. Yeah, it's a long
just,
one.
it's, I wouldn't say it's only, it uh, really applied to her,
No, no, it's
because
applied to the people.
once, no, she was like the child of an orphan,
Mm.
but the curses really affected just the House of Phaedon because those guys took that oath. The House of Phaedon.
Yes,
It's not.
but if you crossed over, you're technically.
But if you also see at the end of the War of Wrath, the Heralds of Manwë bade all elves to one day return to the
Yes.
West.